So hello, Estonia. This is my first time in your country, so thank you very much for having me here. As you guys know, we are the last session of this conference, this refreshing conference, if I may. So when we offer dessert to a customer, right, at a restaurant, we usually do that with compliments to the chefs. So let's share some compliments to the chefs of this event, this Refresh conference, to Marie, Willem, Arthur, Kadri, the dozen other names that I forgot to mention right now. Guys, please, go ahead, exactly. This is the right way to share kudos. Thank you very much for that. That's the right way to start a session. So today we're going to talk about your career. We are going to share the next 30 minutes discussing mentoring, leadership, building products, building teams, and everything that comes with it. So developers, product managers, UX researchers, and everyone in between, please make sure to listen because this is going to be a very interactive session. My name is Moriya Kassis. I'm coming to you from Tel Aviv. I am the very proud founder and general manager of Product League, the most trusted mentoring program for product managers around the world in 30 countries, and I'm also a product management consultant. What it means is that there are two things that I know very well about: product teams under stress and disasters, and mentoring. So today we're going to discuss how to utilize the one for the other and how to make sure that you bring your inner leader out in a way that helps your team. It's lovely to see you. Now, as I told you, this is my first time here in Estonia, and I'm coming to you from Israel, where we Israelis are known for being very, very direct. Now, I don't know if you Estonians can actually handle the truth. So please tell me, can you handle the truth? As loud and as many clappings that I'm gonna hear, this is how honest and brutal I am going to be. So please tell me, can you handle the truth? I think you guys are okay. That's good. So here's the thing. We are in a day of history, both in the world and in our industry, where we need leaders. There is so much that's going on outside, right? Every day. There are things that happen in politics, and even in the tech industry, there is so much that's happening. We have new moral questions that are being asked, important moral questions. There is so much that is going on in terms of new technologies. So many questions that come to the place of the employee or the worker within the industry or within the corporation or the startups. There is so much that's going on, and there is one thing that we need in this time. In this era, we need leaders. We need leaders. But here's the thing. If you'll go over LinkedIn, you may think that we are surrounded by leaders because all of a sudden, there are so many product leaders out there. And all of a sudden, we get to see people with this title of like mega uber ninja leading developer or whatever it means. But here's the truth. Here's the thing about leadership, true leadership. You don't need to tell me that you're a leader for me to recognize that you're a leader. One does not become a leader by updating their LinkedIn profile. You become a leader by making your team members, your colleagues, your friends to fall back in love with their profession. This time in our profession, in our career, when we make the other person, the person who is either sitting next to us in the offline office or just the online office, and we make them smile because they recognize again why they love to do what they love to do. This is where we see leadership. And today, your call to action is to become a leader. This is what we're going to discuss today. We're going to make sure that you go out of this session inspired to become leaders, inspired to become mentors, because here's another truth. Just earlier today, there was another discussion about cliches, right? Here on this stage. When someone said that it's about being the CEO of the product. This is what product managers do, right? Or was it another session of the panels? Seriously? Most days, even CEOs don't feel like they are CEOs. Most days, we feel like all we do is either we are a factory of features or we're just moving pixels from one place to another. I don't know about you, I love my job, I'm in love with my job, I don't want to do anything else in my life, and yet sometimes after like 12, 8, whatever it is number of hours at the office, I feel like all I did that day was moving that little dot from one place to another. This was my job for today. This is the truth. Here's another truth. 33% of employees out there in the tech industry feel like they have no one to support them or their career on the company. That means that if you look aside, at least one person out of the 3 sitting next to you feel like they have no champion on their job. So how can we move ourselves from feeling like we're moving one pixel from one place to another into the place where we can say, we actually make a difference by mentoring? Because then, it's not just about moving a pixel. All of a sudden, we change the reality for a third, a whole 33% of what's going on around us. And this is what mentoring is about, because all of a sudden, we are able to provide an ear to listen, guidance, support, know-how, experience to this person who's actually needed right now. Now, here's the thing. Most times when I discuss mentoring, people confuse that with coaching. But we should discuss the difference, because coaching is about bringing a person, either your employee, your colleague, or whomever, from point A to point B. This is coaching. In mentoring, we do something very different. In mentoring is where you're sitting with another person, you're discussing something, they share a vision, a challenge, a goal with you, and then you ask them, are you sure? This is mentoring, where we challenge what the other person thinks in a way that we don't just give them the tools, we offer them the know-how, how to find their own tools, how to find their own answers for this dilemma. This is mentoring. And this is why it's so powerful, because it's the time when you sit with someone and you offer them this question, not the answer, this question that they are in need of. And mentoring, or the call to action for you guys to be a mentor, may sound a little bit overwhelming, right? A little bit like too much. So whenever I say mentoring or be a mentor, and you ask yourself, isn't that too much? Just use the phrase chat over coffee instead. Think about that as a friendly chat with a friend or with a colleague or a teammate where you offer them the support they need. And why should you do that? What is in that for you? So the first thing is for you to exchange knowledge, because it's not just about us learning about our industry from reading blogs or from watching TED Talks or YouTube webinars or whatever. It's also about us discussing challenges with our colleagues, with our team members, in a way that allows us to know more about what they do. And these people can be either the people on our own team, or they can be of another department. If, for example, you're a developer or product manager and you spend 30 minutes a week with someone from marketing, all of a sudden, it's not only that they understand what you do much better, all of a sudden you understand what they do, what their KPIs are in a much better way. So this is how you get knowledge. And this is why, also important to remember, mentoring is not just about mentoring someone who is less senior or more junior than you. Because one of the mistakes that we managers do is, let's be honest about it, forgetting what it is like to be a junior in our industry. So when you offer someone who is junior on your team to be your mentor in a certain field, all of a sudden you know new techniques. You know what the guys in the hood are talking about, okay? You learn things from the perspective of the junior person, and you become a better manager. The second thing that you will gain out of being mentor is the practice. Because leadership is not something that you gain out of saying, I am a leader. This is something that you practice over and over again, and all of a sudden you are recognized as a leader. Why? Because of the third point, because this is where your soft skills become amazing. Especially when we are talking about product management, there is the product aspect, right? All the technical aspect of what we do, all the hard skills, but there is also the management part of what we do, right? We have to deal with people. How can you actually practice dealing with people and with communications and with others if you don't practice that? And the best way to do that is when no one has to listen to you, because you're just their mentor, you're not the boss. This is where you practice that. So I don't know about you guys, but I hear leadership without authority all the time, for years now. This is leadership without authority, because when you are a mentor, no one actually needs to listen to you. People want to listen to you. This is not something that is granted to you because of your title. All of a sudden, someone listens to you because you have something very important to share. Doesn't matter what your rank is in the company. So how do you start? There are 4 ways to establish mentoring within your company, within your team, even if you are not the team manager. The first one is classic mentoring, when you just decide to match a mentor and a mentee based on their needs. This is the classic one. Then we go into the resource-based mentoring. You make a list of all the things that you know or that your team knows, and then you just make a list out of it, a list of resources, human resources, if you will, and you tell whomever on the team or the company, listen, these are the resources that we have. If you want to be mentored in this domain, in this area, in this expertise, go ahead and talk to them. And that does not mean that all of the people on the list have to be big experts on that, because you can just choose a chunk within the domain, the industry, the subject, and tell, hey, I can be your mentor on this chunk. This thing I know very well. If you want to know more about that, just reach out to me. I don't have to be an expert about the whole thing. This is the second way you can do it. The third one is group mentoring, or professional AA, if you would like, okay, where we meet as a group of mentees with one mentor. There are 2 reasons, basically, for choosing this option. Either you have a shortage of experts, so you want to assign more than one mentee to a specific mentor on the field, and the second one is actually to make more of a safe space, because some of us feel more comfortable to admit that we don't know something and we need advice and we need someone to help us if there is another person here that is sitting and saying the same thing. So if you feel that the culture in your company, on your team, is of such that you need this other person admitting that they don't know, this is how you start. You start with a group mentoring. And the last but definitely not least is reverse mentoring, where you take the action of saying, I want to mentor the executives on the team. I want the junior people to mentor C-level, executives, directors, whomever, okay? Why? Because there is so much that we forget when we climb the ladder. We don't have enough time to learn all the new things that are going on. We don't have enough time to think about all the things that we need to think about. And when you choose reverse mentoring, you make sure that the more junior people on the team actually share the important know-how, the crucial know-how sometimes, with the more senior people. This is where we don't discuss authority. We just discuss true leadership, because everyone has the potential to teach their teammates just one little thing. Because guys, this is where we become a team. If we just sit in an office, especially these days when there are not many offices around, right, and so much work is done online, that does not make us into a team. A team is like going on to the battle, like a force together, knowing what is the one thing that your teammates are really known for, really good at, and then combining your skills together like a game, because you fall in love with what you do again. This is how you build a team. And there are a few key aspects for you to remember when we are discussing mentoring. The first one is volunteering, and that goes both ways. One, you cannot force anyone to become your mentee. This is why you start this initiative of mentoring by creating a list, announcing a program on the team, or just asking around and telling someone, hey, I got an hour, free hour, once a week. Whoever wants to come and chat with me about whatever, just come, you know where I sit, bring some coffee with you, okay? But you can't force anyone to do so. The other thing that comes out of that being volunteering act is that you can't charge someone for that, because then you exchange something that is not values, that is not knowledge. You bring another factor into your relationship in a somewhat strange way that makes it to be more of a coaching and much less of mentoring. Goals. If you don't know where you're heading, you won't ever get there. That means that both mentees and mentors have to set their goals, preferably SMART goals, before they start the sessions or the journey together. It goes, again, both to mentees and mentors. What is it that you want to achieve? You don't become a mentor just to become a mentor, right? You have a reason. You want to achieve something. You want to practice something. List it down. What is it? And also ask your mentee, what is it that you want to learn from me? Because by doing that, you can actually understand what is the time frame needed for that. How long should you meet? For how long? How long is going to be the meeting? What is it that you need to discuss? Okay, it becomes much more actionable when you start with your goals. And boundaries. Now, obviously, there are legal boundaries that are much needed, okay? Think about the information that you can share. Think about the environment that you create that allows all genders that may be there to feel comfortable. Think about this way before you start, and do that in a way that makes you feel comfortable and make your mentee feel comfortable, because otherwise you will go just in very different directions. So you did that. You reached out to your team, you talked with your colleagues, you decided to go for it, and to do that, you had a structure. Everything is about to start fantastically. I want you to stop right there before you start your first session and to ask yourself, how can I help? Understand what is this like one little thing that you can show, that you can share with others on your team or outside of your team that will make their life better, will make their career better, or just make their day happier, because this is important too. So you start by asking yourself, how can I help? What is this one thing? And again, this can be very narrow. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's not about the whole domain. You don't need to be an expert in everything. None of us is expert in everything. Okay, just one thing in which you want to offer your help. And do that. Offer your help to the world. The second question that I want you to ask yourself is, whom can I help? Think about it like a product, right? We start with personas. We don't just put a product out there. We think about, okay, who is the persona? Who is the person that I would like to share my know-how with? And then I want to challenge yourself even better when you start to build this persona of your mentee to be. Because I want to ask you, whom would you like to help? It's not just about the person that you can help. It's also about the person that you would like to help. What is the character of this person? Maybe you want to see more female developers or product managers in your industry, so make it work. Maybe you want to see people from other ethnicities in your company. Go ahead. And maybe it's just that you want to have more gamers on your team. So you make this 1 hour a week that you are going to put into mentoring for gamers only. But decide with yourself who is it that you want to help, because you have to have fun with that. Time is the only resource we cannot buy. So when we put the time into mentoring, we need to make sure that we are going to feel amazing about that. And remember that no one has all the answers. Sometimes we feel like we don't have all the answers, and in a way, we block ourselves. We put limits to our skills and our know-how by deciding I am not good enough to share what I know with the industry. I tell you, you are wrong. You are wrong because you are right in so many things, and I want the world to know about the things that you are right at. So don't block yourself and become a mentor. Decide on the person that you want to help and mentor the change that you want to see in the world, because you all have a vision as to how your office, your company should be different tomorrow. We all fantasize about things that will be different in the company, isn't it? We all have these days when we think, oh my God, these guys know nothing. So you know something, and make it a reality. Go to your team, become a mentor, and share. And then there are 4 phases that you have to keep in mind. Because the first question that I'm being asked is, but when does it stop? So I'm a mentor forever? What's going on there? It all depends on the goals that you set at first. You start with a purpose. You start by asking your mentee, what are your goals? You start by asking yourself, what are my goals? And then you put these SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable and achievable, realistic and time-bound goals, into things that are easier for you to put into an action plan. You know what your boundaries are. And all of a sudden, you understand whether this should be a mentoring of a one-time of a coffee, or maybe this is a 4 months-long process. It depends on your goals. It depends on your boundaries. How much time do you have, guys? Listen, how much time do you have? Okay, you have to start with that. And you build this engagement with the other person just like if it was a product. You build trust. We all know that we need to increase the trust the user feels towards our product, right? Same goes for mentoring. It's about trust. It's about rapport. This beautiful English word that describes this time when another person feels you, not just understands you, but feels you. So you build that. You have an action plan that brings you into growth. All of a sudden, what we discussed earlier about growing your skills, about demonstrating to the world that you're a leader, material, that becomes a reality. And then when you complete this progress, it's not only that you see these goals that you had in mind before come to life, you feel confidence about yourself. Your mentee feels confidence. All of a sudden, you can reflect back and say, I changed something in the world, and from a time that it was all about me talking about stuff, I actually made a difference. And this is a big deal. It's time in our industry, it's an era of our industry, when it's not only that we need leaders, we need to deal with the things that matter. It's about growth over titles. It's about dealing with the things that actually matter. I call you guys to mentor your team to build better products. Don't be a stranger. I would love to hear from all of you. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or visit our Product League website if you have any questions. I'm here for you right now, obviously. And remember, your call to action for today was to think about the possibility of you becoming a mentor. Maybe for one person, maybe for one time, maybe for one coffee chat. But build a structure within your team that will allow you to build better products. Thank you very much. I think it's time for questions. We have 5 minutes for Q&A, so this is your time to grill me.
Perfect presenter to be the last one, because like sleepy Estonians, and you made us clap in the middle of your presentation. It's like, ooh, scary. But all right, let's open up the discussion. Definitely you have some questions for mentoring.
Mentoring, product management, startups, bring it on. Yeah.
Nice.
Hi, thanks for the talk. I do have one question. could you give one example for SMART goals for mentoring, maybe from your experience as mentor or mentee?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you very much for your question. This was a beautiful one. So I will start with reverse engineering your question, with giving you an example of a wrong one, and then we'll discuss a good one, okay? Because it's going to be easier for us. One of the most common mistakes when we discuss career goals and reasons for one to approach a mentor is when one wants to climb the ladder, when we want a promotion. So oftentimes, I see mentees set the goal of, I want to be promoted to have the title of whatever within this time frame. And the reason why this one is not a SMART goal and not a good one is because the decision whether to make this a reality or not is not yours. Someone else has to decide to give you the budget, to give you the title. It's not just about you acquiring different skills, it's also about someone else making a decision. So in reverse answering to what you asked, when you set a goal, you have to make sure that this is something that you can do on your own, and it's not about someone else making the decision to allow you to do something. So what is a good SMART goal? A good SMART goal should be smart. I just remind you, I know that you all know what SMART is, but allow me. It's smart, measurable, actionable and achievable, realistic, and time-bounded, okay? So a SMART goal can be, for example, let's see if this one is interesting for you, Estonians, to have better work-life balance. So for example, I can have the goal of, in 3 weeks from now, making sure to exercise at least twice a week for 2 months in a row. It's time-bound that because I know when it should start and for how long should I keep it. Actually, it should be more specific than what I said, so I should also specify for how long am I going to exercise. So exercising for at least 30 minutes twice a week. Okay, this is specific. It's actionable because it's only on me. I have no one else to blame if I'm not going to the gym or going outside to run. And it's very much measurable. Did I go or not? How was that? She's not listening to me, but that's okay. You guys did, so it's good.
All right, next question. Do I see a hand? I see a hand here.
It was a very inspiring talk, but I have a question that how do you get your mentees to reverse mentor you? The problem is that when you it very often happens that people come and just take whatever you say or just suggest as a goal. They never like challenge. But they have to challenge my ideas.
Absolutely, and I want you to challenge my ideas, so please ask me like, with more details, because I'm not sure I understood the question, and I want you to challenge me.
Okay, the problem is that with young developers, there is a problem.
There are many problems, but let's start with one.
But there's a problem that when they come to ask from an older developer, the older developer has, let's say I have many ideas. I give them and say like, what do you think? But they just pick one. They don't challenge. They don't start reverse mentoring me or saying that, maybe there is some new technology up there you haven't heard of it or something like that. And they have heard of it, but they don't challenge.
I love your question. It's
How
a beautiful question. It's a magnificent question, because what you ask is actually how can we make sure that we utilize open communication in a way that allows us to know about new things and challenge each other.
Not quite.
That's good.
The idea is...
You are honest as am I, which is good.
The idea is that how to get these young developers to build the confidence to actually give advice to others.
Okay. Okay, so it's not just about allowing them to have an open communication with us, it's about making them confidence within their seat to actually share something with us.
But how to do that?
I love that. I love this challenge. Thank you very much. It is a beautiful question, and it goes to all industries, okay? It's not just about development, it's product management, it's UX, it's everything. It's a very good question. I think it all starts the day before. We can't expect people on our team to feel confident on the second that we need them to feel confident. We have to build that before. So it means that on your daily stand-ups, for example, you have to make sure to ask the team members, what do you think? Also, for me, from my experience as a product manager, by the way, this is something that I have to deal with all the time, because I don't want to decide to my developers how to build something. You are the developer. You know what to do better than I do, but I have to make them feel that I evaluate their knowledge high enough, so I'm actually asking them for their opinion and not just sitting with me in the conference room and saying, yeah, when should it be ready? Okay? So how do we do it? We do it the day before. We share KPIs, for example. We share how do we evaluate their work. I always share with my developers where should I reach to in terms of my own KPIs at the company, so they will understand how my mind works. They will understand what motivates me to make the decisions that I make. It doesn't make it obvious that every time they will have something to offer, I will say, of course. Oftentimes, unfortunately, for other reasons, I say, not today. But they always need to understand, or partially understand, what's the reasoning behind that. So you start with building confidence the day before you need this person to be confident. You share KPIs with them. You share OKRs with them. You make sure that they know how they will be evaluated. You make sure the company actually makes evaluation at least 4 times a year, so for the person to actually know where they stand. You make sure that you allow the other person to talk. One thing that I did a few years ago, I had an amazing developer on my team. Super smart one, seriously, like a super smart one. But he was very young, extremely young. He got to the company when he was 21, which in Israel, it's like extremely young because you just go out of the service. So he got to the company, everyone was like 30 years and more. And what I did is I started a habit where once a week, each of the developers on my team spent 15 minutes doing a lecture about anything they wanted. And the first person to do that was that developer. I made sure that even if it's going to be total failure, epic failure, at least this person, for once, will talk for 15 minutes in front of everyone on something that they will decide that they will do in front of everyone. And it was amazing because I gave this person the stage. I gave him the floor. And it changed something. And when you make sure that you ask at least once a week the people on your team, what do you think? They actually tell you what they think. But the thing is, and this is why your question was brilliant, a beautiful one, is that our days sometimes are so hectic that even though we want to ask the people on our team, what do you think? We forget to do that. We're on the same boat, everyone here, right? So make sure your amazing intentions come to life with the right actions. Did I answer your question? Almost. We will continue that later.